Burgers. Juicy, delicious. Everybody loves a burger, but quite a lot goes into making the perfect burger. And I think the most important thing is the beef. What's the right cut to use? How much fat should you use in a burger? What cut of beef should you use in your burger? And how coarse should the grind be when you're making your beef? The answer is not as simple as you think. And I also think it really depends on what type of burger you're making. Are you making a smash style burger or are you making a steakhouse style burger? We're gonna dive deep into this today so you can make delicious burgers at home. A huge thank you to Australian Beef for sponsoring this video. First up, let's go talk to the experts, my mate Steve the Butcher, who can answer all these questions for us. All right, we are here with Steve. Steve, mate.
How you going?
How long have you been cutting meat for, brother?
26 years.
26 years. Almost longer than I've been cooking. How many burgers you guys reckon you sell here?
Oh, we go through about 60 kilos of burgers a week.
Wow. So the fat content. In the industry, it's called CC ratio, and it's all about how much fat to lean there is in the ground meat. In your opinion, what's the perfect fat to lean ratio in a burger?
40, 60%.
Yeah. Man after my own heart.
Nothing like a juicy burger.
There's nothing like a juicy burger, and fat is flavor. Right here, we've got some brisket. Why do you think brisket makes great burgers, brother?
Oh, the right amount of fat, the consistency of it, and yeah, good flavour to it.
And then the chuck, which is kind of the most commonly used piece of meat for burgers, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think the only thing it's down for is that it's not quite as much fat, is there?
Nowhere near enough.
But the flavour's good, isn't it?
The flavour's very nice.
And then this fat here, tell me about this.
So this is off the aged beef. So perfect for the burgers. Adds that little bit more flavour to it.
If we're making what we want to make like an 80-20 burger, which I think is the optimal for like a steakhouse burger, a nice big thick burger. We don't really need to add any beef, any fat to this, do we?
No.
That's kind of perfect.
Perfect.
And then the grind. I think this is a point that's often overlooked. It's all about the right mouthfeel and also making sure your burger stays together when you're cooking it. For the smash burger, I like to double pass them. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, totally.
So shuck them through twice?
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna make 2 lots of mince now. We're gonna make an 80-20 and we're gonna single pass that for our steak burger. And then we're gonna make a 70-30. We're gonna double pass that for our smash burgers. This thing's a bit of a beast, isn't it?
It sure is.
All right, should we get stuck into it? How small does it need to be?
You know, big enough to fit through there.
Why should people come see you for their meat instead of going to the supermarkets, mate?
Oh, quality, service. We're always happy to help and go that extra mile for our customers.
Absolutely, mate. I couldn't agree more. What's your favourite burger at the moment? Are you a smash burger guy or are you like a steakhouse burger? Big
Steakhouse burger.
Yeah.
Double the patty.
Double patty.
Cheese.
The whole works.
Bacon, yeah.
Don't tell me you like pineapple on your burger.
No, pineapple.
That's a pretty good representation. If you look at the colour of difference in these, right? Quite dark compared to like a slightly lighter brisket. I think that's a good representation of the difference in flavour too, isn't it? How am I doing cutting meat?
Yeah, you're going well.
I feel nervous.
So we could have given you a better knife, right?
So this aged fat, it kind of adds like a real nice umami flavour, doesn't it?
Sure does.
How long was that?
4 weeks. They came off the ribeyes.
4 weeks, wow. It's a nice nutty flavour. Now if you can't get aged fat, don't stress. Just do it without the aged fat. Just add any other fat anyway. That fat is important. So if we do that for our steakhouse, I reckon that's about right.
That's about right.
And then we'll add some of this for our smash burgers. I reckon that's more than enough.
Perfect.
All right, let's get this mincer going. That's a powerful mincer.
Goes well.
It's got a good distribution of fat in there too, doesn't it?
Yeah, might need to cut that a little bit.
Oh no, I failed you, brother. So there you go, there's our mince for our steakhouse burgers. You can see a good distribution of fat and you're still getting some nice grains in there as well, which is great. So we'll leave that like that and we'll take that home and boil it up at home. Time for the double pass of the smashes. Is there anything else that you'd double pass mince for? Sausages, some sausages?
Sausages always.
Yeah, right.
Sausages, that way that you get the meal mixed through it and everything else.
Yeah.
Our normal beef mince we do.
Most people will like that lean beef mince these days, don't they?
Yeah, not good for spaghetti, that's for sure.
So with the double pass, you're going to see later when we actually make and smash these burgers, it makes it stick together better. If you don't double pass it, you're going to have kind of big holes in your smash patties.
Also mixes up properly too.
Now look at that, professional. Take that first part out, that's from the last mix.
Last mix, yeah.
And look at the difference in colour from last time and the distribution of fat. Amazing. So there you go. Our 2 minces, 80-20, nice grind, just one time. We're gonna make these into some delicious patties, and then we've got the 70-30, double passed. We're gonna ball this up and turn these into smash burgers. Steve, thank you, brother.
No worries, thank you.
An absolute pleasure. You're a legend and an asset to have butchers like this that you guys can come and talk to because they're a wealth of knowledge. Let's go make some burgers. All right, we're back from Steve. We have our 2 types of ground meat, or mince as we call it here in Australia, for our burgers. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make 2 versions of each of this. I'm gonna make a smash burger out of each, and I'm gonna make a steakhouse burger out of each. We're gonna cook them like we would those burgers, and then we're gonna test and compare them just to see what the difference is. What happens when we use a coarser grind on a smash burger, and what happens when we use a fine grind but higher fat in a steakhouse burger. Let's have a taste. We'll start with the smash burgers, and I think the thing that I noticed the most, the grind that only went through once, wasn't as easy to cook, and you can kind of see this patty is kind of falling apart, and that's because the big pieces of fat aren't emulsified through the meat. They render out, and then you get these big holes, whereas the one that went through twice, I can pick up. If I try and pick this one up, it's gonna fall apart. Let's see what they taste like though. We'll start with the one that went ground once. Great Maillard reaction, so it's got really great flavor. The flavor also comes from the fact that we use the chuck and the brisket. It is a little bit dry when you macerate in your mouth for a bit longer, and that's because of that fat just rendered out really far too quickly. Let's try the one that went through the grinder twice. Held together better, also had the higher fat content, which eats more flavor. For me, the 70-30 is the way to go. However, if you are concerned about fat and kind of eating too much fat, you can do that with 80-20. I think the most important thing is to make sure that it goes to the grinder twice. And I think, you can get away with 85-25 as well. I think 70-30 is the optimum, or like Steve said, 60-40. More fat, more flavor, but I think the most important thing is to make sure it goes through the grinder twice. Okay, we'll go to the steakhouse burgers. So this was it's pretty rare still, probably a little bit too rare to be honest, but so this is the 70-30 that went through the grinder twice, and it's cooked nicely. And you can actually taste the dry age in that a lot more than you can in the smash burger, which is kind of interesting, but I guess that's probably because it's still cooked quite rare. Good flavor, extremely juicy because of the higher fat content. However, the mouthfeel for me isn't there. It's got a good crust, but when you get into the meaty part, there's kind of no texture, it kind of just like melts apart. So this was the 80-20. Only ground once. Great flavor and still just as juicy. Really nice beefy flavor. Seasoned well, that was just because I put salt on it, but seasoned well, and you get a mouthfeel. You get like, I wouldn't call it steak like mouthfeel, but you get like texture in your mouth, which I think is really important in a steak burger. So let's put this all together and actually make some burgers now. I'm actually gonna make the Oklahoma smash burger with the smash patties, because I think it's one of the best smash burgers out there, and then we'll make a steakhouse burger. The Oklahoma smash burger, made famous by George Mott's, been on the channel before, and there's lots of different smash burgers. You can do like classic American style smash burgers, you can kind of do with it what you want really. But I love this Oklahoma smash burger, I think it's delicious, I love onions. One thing to mention, I have had to turn the extraction on, so sorry if it's a bit loud, but this is real life. What we need for an Oklahoma smash burger, it's actually super simple as well. So we've got our 70-30 beef mince here, and 80-gram balls, American cheese, soft potato bun, and then lots of really thinly sliced sweet onions. Really thin. You need a mandolin like this, or a deli slicer to do this. You can't really do this with a knife. So just slice them really, really fine. So like I was saying, this burger has been made famous in modern era, or in the last kind of 10 years, by George Mott's, the burger scholar. And he has a restaurant now in New York called Hamburger America, which you can go and get this burger at. And I kind of love the simplicity of this burger. There's no condiments on it, which is kind of wild to a lot of people, but feel free if you want to make this burger at home and you want to put some mustard on it or even ketchup, go ahead. Apparently ketchup is a no-no on a classic style burger. So lots of very finely sliced onions. And in fact, I reckon that's not even quite enough. We're gonna do a double, so we'll do 2 patties. I'm gonna find some more onion and keep slicing. I reckon that's enough for one. So you don't need quite 2 small. 1 large onion will probably be enough, or 1.5 small sweet onions. That's a lot of onions, and I didn't even cry. So the skillet, when I'm doing smash burgers, I've done a video about that, about temperature. I like kind of doing them at about 280, 250, 280, maybe 300 at the high end. I think that's a good temperature. If you go much higher than 300, I think you really risk the chance of burning this. So our 80-gram balls of meat on, bit of salt, pile them high in the onions, and we smash. Just gonna redistribute some of my onions here. I'm sure there's a trick to making sure you have even onions, but I don't know it yet. I'll put a little bit more salt. So when I put those burgers on, the temperature was right down low because my temperature was going high, and I've just turned that back on high. All that heat has come out of that flat top now, So we need the heat to come back up a bit. So as soon as we flip these, we're gonna cheese both of them. Then we'll put our bun on top to steam, and it won't take much longer after that. And when you're scraping smash burgers off, make sure you scrape. You wanna get all that Maillard reaction that's stuck to this off. American cheese. Look at that, great color, lots of Maillard reaction. How many times can I say Maillard reaction in one video? Bun on to steam. Okay, we're gonna take the bottom bun off first. Lift up our bottom patty. Ooh, don't lose any onions. Ooh. On that goes. On the second one goes. Ah, it's hot. Look at that. It's a pretty good looking burger, if I do say so myself, but the proof's in the pudding. We know the meat tastes good. How does it taste as a complete burger? Look at those onions. Hot. It's delicious. I was always kind of skeptical of the untoasted bun. I think a toasted bun's really important in a burger. I think it works here, right? It is a little under-seasoned. That's a me issue, not a recipe issue. I just kind of figure out how we can get more salt onto the actual meat before we smush the burger. The only other thing that I question, and I'm all for tradition, and I respect that in George's restaurant, he doesn't use sauce. I feel like this is missing something. Even just a little bit of yellow mustard. For me, that rounds it out. That kind of sharpness of the mustard, it really amplifies the beefy flavor and cuts through the sweetness of the onions. A delicious burger. And the beef, it's definitely the star of the show, and that's super important. And how do you get that delicious meat? You go talk to your mate Steve, the butcher. They're gonna be able to help you do the grinding, talk through CC ratios, and even a little bit of cheeky dry edge fat through the mince as well. That's a great burger, but it's time to change lanes. Let's make the Steakhouse burger. Starting with a simple burger sauce, you're going to add 5 tablespoons of mayonnaise to a bowl, along with 1.5 tablespoons of ketchup, 1 tablespoon of gherkin relish, a tablespoon of yellow mustard, and a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Give it a mix and set it aside. Time for the salad garnishes. Start by slicing some red onions nice and thin. Then you're going to take some dill pickles and slice them long ways. That way you get a piece of pickle in every bite of your burger. Thinly slice some tomatoes and get some cos ready, washed and cleaned, nice and crispy and fresh. Now before we cook our burgers, we're going to toast our buns by buttering them both on the bottom and top, and then place them into the cast iron pan that's on medium heat. You're going to turn the buns as they're toasting, and that way we get a lovely even toast across both surfaces of the bun. Now time for the main attraction. You're going to take your burger patty, season it on the bottom side with kosher salt or cooking salt. You're going to have a cast iron pan over a high heat, a little bit of oil, not too much, as you're going to have a lot of fat render from those burgers anyway. Carefully place that burger in there and then season the other side with salt. I like to flip my burgers a couple of times. I think you get a better crust. So that's been about 60 seconds on that side, and I'm going to flip it. I'll leave it another minute on that side before I flip it back, 2 or 3 times depending on the internal temp. There's also a lot of debate about whether you cook your burgers rare or medium. Look, I'm not going to tell you how to eat your burger. I like to eat my burger kind of medium. I think if they're medium rare or rare, they get a bit soft like the ones I cooked earlier. I think they're not a super great texture. The concern is the fact that you're kind of cooking ground meat, not past the temperature where you're killing all the bacteria. So if you're in a developed country and you're getting your meat freshly ground, I think you'll be safe. Don't quote me on that though. Disclaimer. If you get sick from eating rare burgers, don't blame Andy Cooks. There's another benefit of going to the butcher, all right? If you see the meat being minced, you'll have a less of a chance of getting sick off that meat. Whereas if it comes from somewhere else and you're just buying ground meat, you definitely need to make sure you cook that through properly. You don't know how long that meat's been sitting there. It's also usually gas flushed, so they put an inert gas in the packet to make sure it doesn't oxidize and go brown. So it can look lovely and fresh and red like these ones right here. However, it could be pretty old. The other thing that's worth mentioning is that you can see that these are shrinking as the fat comes out of them. It's not a bad thing. It's why a lot of people put breadcrumbs in their burgers, is to try and stop that shrinkage from happening. The only annoying thing with shrinkage is that when you put it on your bun, sometimes, and it's going to go on this one, it's going to be small in your bun, which I think is annoying. You don't get the right meat to bread ratio. So just keep that in mind when you're pressing out your burgers. I find that the sesame seed buns that you can buy in shops are often too big. It's the buns problem. It's not me. It's never me. Okay, we're at 50 degrees internal here, 56. So we're pretty good. I'm going to turn the heat off because that pan's getting nice and hot. We're going to put some cheese on. I'm using Swiss cheese today. I'm going to use 2 pieces because they're nice and thin. We'll let that kind of melt a little bit. And in the meantime, we're going to assemble the rest of our burger. So sauce on both sides. Not too much, you don't want it dripping down your arm. And then this is another big point of contention. Where does the lettuce go when you're building burgers? Now, like a lot of things in the food world, there's no right or wrong answer. It's a preference thing, but unless it's the same way that I do it, it's wrong. But I like to do my lettuce first, and there's a reason for it, because I think the lettuce, especially if you've got crisp cos lettuce, protects the bun from getting soggy from your burger. I'm gonna pull that burger out and just leave it on a rack for just a minute. On the top, we're gonna put our pickles. Our burger's rested for literally a minute. On that goes. Then we put the tomatoes. We season our tomatoes with flaky sea salt, some sliced red onion, bun on top. There we go. On Steakhouse burger, 80-20, chuck and brisket patty, Swiss cheese, all your standard garnishes, and burger sauce. Looks pretty good. But how does it eat? Now, it's a little bit controversial, but I do think the Steakhouse burger is acceptable to be eaten with a knife and fork. And if you don't like that idea, then feel free to express your opinion in the comment section below. But it's a steakhouse, you know, like it's a place of class. Now, as a cross section of a burger, that's pretty good. How does it taste? Good. It's delicious. I love the mouthfeel that you get from that beef. Delicious and juicy. That sauce brings it all together, and all those crunchy garnishes really add something to it. If you've taken anything from this video from me today, it's to think about the style of burger that you're making at home before you go and talk to your butcher about what you need for your circumstances. Because I think it makes a huge difference. The quality of the beef, the way it's ground, and even the fat ratio. A huge thank you to Australian Beef for sponsoring this video. Make sure you like this video if you took anything from it. And if you're not subscribed, then subscribe, because I hate asking for people to subscribe. And like I've said in the past, if I get to 20 million subs, I'll stop asking. We'll see you next week for another recipe. Peace.